Hello and welcome to another Ask Cheeky. I'm Isaiah Henkel with Cheeky Scientist. This week's question comes from Aditya Ashok. Aditya says, I got a job offer finally, but it's much lower than expected. Interview went very well. I'm a great fit for the job. What happened? Great question, Aditya. We get this question a lot. A lot of PhDs go all the way through the interviewing process, all the way through the job search process. They get a job offer and it's much lower than they expected and they want to know why. The reason why is because you did not show your value enough during the interview. Now, there's some things that are uncontrollable factors when it comes to showing your value. You may talk to a hiring manager, you may talk to people who just don't understand your value. Maybe there's no PhDs on their team. Maybe you weren't a good fit for the role. These are all the uncontrollable factors, but there are some controllable factors, some ways that you can increase your value and more importantly, your perceived value to employers. Because as a PhD, you have that inherent value. You are valuable, make no mistake about it. You're very rare, especially if you're a PhD who's been watching these videos, right? You've been learning the job search process. You've been elevating your transferable skills, not just focused on your technical skills. You ask this question, which means you're learning. So you have a lot of value. You are valuable. But you have to increase your perceived value during the job search process, certainly during the interview process, so that you get a higher job offer. And this happens before real negotiation begins, okay? So before the negotiations for a higher salary happen, right? Because you only should give a counteroffer after you have your initial job offer. Before that happens, what you're doing is you're negotiating in a way, but it's more through your words, through your actions, through what you do to increase again your perceived value during the interview process. For example, how well you answer the questions can increase your perceived value. That's easy, but that's the basics. That's for beginners. Okay, there's other things that you can do where you can start taking control of the interview so that your value increases more and more and more. You can start to upsell yourself during the interview. The biggest way to do this is that when you answer questions, make sure that you're tying every answer to what that company needs. You really got to study the job posting, study the company's website, set up informational interviews or talk to anybody you can at the company before the interview happens so you know exactly what they're looking for, what results they want you to hit as soon as you start that new position. Now, you're not it's very unlikely you're going to have hit those same results in the past. Just like it's very unlikely you're going to have the exact same skills they're looking for already. Instead, you're going to have relevant skills. You're going to have achieved results that are relevant to the results they want you to achieve. So you want to upsell yourself, increase your perceived value by always talking about things that you've done, your relevant skills, your relevant results in the framework of what they want you to do in the future. Okay? This is called future-facing answers to the interview questions. This will increase your perceived value. Secondly, you want to eliminate objections before they happen. Now, when actual negotiations begin, and by actual I mean you have a job offer in front of you and you're going to come back with a counteroffer, before that happens, they're going to be formulating objections or reasons that they can pay you less, right? So it's objections to paying you more. So when you come back for a counteroffer, they're already going to be setting up objections to that counteroffer, objections to why they can pay you more. For example, they might say, there's a salary cap. They might give you all these different reasons to make you just take whatever salary they initially offer you. The key here is that everything's negotiable. These are all just objections, and these objections are formulated during the interview process. So what you can do on your end is counteract those objections, okay? You can give answers that will make those objections irrelevant. So as a PhD, they're going to try to give you a lower salary, or they could try to give you a lower salary because you've made very little in academia. One thing you can do is make sure that they never compare your salary as an academic to the salary they're going to offer you, right? They might try to anchor you low or have the objection, well, you don't need to make as much because to you, whatever we offer you is a lot of money because you made so little in academia. You can combat this during the interview process by telling them you don't have a salary in academia. In fact, you're just reimbursed by the government on a stipend on a monthly basis. You're reimbursed, right? Reimbursed by the government for your fellowship. It's not really a salary, it is a reimbursement from the government. So you draw some differences there so they can't compare salaries. They can't object to you getting paid more because you've never been paid a lot in the past. That's just one example, right? The fact that you don't have any industry experience, you can talk about how you actually have a lot of experience that's relevant to what they're looking for, that's going to allow you to hit the results they're looking for much faster and better than anybody else, right? So again, you're counteracting these objections before they happen. You should also start talking about any lifestyle changes that are going to be required once you take the position. Is the cost of living higher? Are the moving expenses higher? You should ask them questions like, are there signing bonuses associated with this role? Bring all of this stuff up front. PhDs make a really big mistake by waiting to bring these things up after you have a job offer in hand. You never want to give a counter offer before you have a job offer in hand, but you do want to talk about things in general to counteract objections that might come up later. You do want to talk about potential signing bonuses, just if there are signing bonuses or not. Plant that seed in their head before they give you an offer so they include it in the offer. Talk about the increased lifestyle expenses, things that you would want, a company car. Maybe you want them to pay for your housing for the first 3 months. Companies do this, by the way, if you didn't know that. Okay, so counteract these objections beforehand. And then finally, always be increasing your perceived value by offering results, acting like you work for them, even before you start working for them. So as soon as the interview is over, of course you want to follow up, send a personal note, etc. But maybe you talked about something, maybe they mentioned a goal that they have or a certain result, and you read an article related to that. Okay, you want to talk about that, bring up that article to them, start acting like you're working for them, add value to them before you even start working for them. This will help increase your perceived value as well. Hopefully this helps you. As always, remember your value as a PhD and start thinking and acting like a successful industry professional.